Have you ever felt like the world around you is crumbling, lost in chaos and confusion? Imagine a time when the entire planet was so corrupt that its creator decided to hit the reset button. Not with a subtle tweak, but with a flood so massive it would wash the world clean. This isn't just a myth, it's a story of survival, faith, and a promise that echoes through eternity. This is the story of Noah's Ark. But it's more than just a tale of a giant boat and a lot of animals. It's a profound lesson about listening when the world won't, about having faith when everything seems hopeless, and about receiving a promise that changes everything. What if the lessons from this ancient cataclysm hold the key to navigating the floods in our own lives? Stick with me, because what you're about to discover will change the way you see this incredible story forever. In a world drowning in its own wickedness, one man stood apart. The Bible tells us in Genesis that Noah was a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time, and he walked faithfully with God. Think about that. Amidst widespread moral decay, Noah maintained his integrity. It wasn't that he was perfect, but his heart was turned towards God. He chose a different path, a harder path. This is our first powerful lesson. True character is forged not in times of ease, but in the face of overwhelming opposition. It's easy to follow the crowd, but it takes immense courage to walk with God when you're walking alone. Then came the command, a directive so monumental it would have seemed insane to anyone else. God said to Noah, "So make yourself an ark of cypress wood, make rooms in it, and coat it with pitch inside and out." God gave him the exact blueprint for a vessel of epic proportions, 450 feet long, 75 feet wide, and 45 feet high. Imagine the scene. Noah and his sons, day after day, year after year, hammering away. The neighbors probably mocked them. Building a boat in the middle of dry land. Has Noah lost his mind? Yet, Noah's faith was not swayed by public opinion. He obeyed. He trusted the architect of the universe, even when the plan seemed impossible. This obedience wasn't just about building a boat, it was an act of worship, a testament to his unwavering trust in a future he couldn't see. How often do we let the fear of what others will think stop us from following what we know is right? Noah's dedication teaches us that obedience to God often requires us to look foolish to the world. But faith is believing in the unseen and trusting that God's plan, no matter how strange it seems, is always for our ultimate good. As the ark neared completion, the next phase of the divine plan unfolded. God commanded Noah, "You are to bring into the ark two of all living creatures, male and female, to keep them alive with you." Can you picture the parade? Lions walking alongside lambs, eagles soaring in with sparrows. A procession of every creature imaginable, guided not by human hands, but by the hand of God Himself. This wasn't a random collection, it was a carefully orchestrated rescue mission to preserve life on earth. Then, Noah, his wife, his 3 sons Shem, Ham, and Japheth and their wives all entered the ark. They took that final step of faith, leaving the world they knew behind to step into the refuge God had provided. And then, Genesis tells us something profound. Then the Lord shut him in. It wasn't Noah who closed the door, it was God. This single act signifies God's protection and the finality of His judgment on the world outside. For those inside, it was a seal of safety. For those outside, it was the end of their chance. It's a sobering reminder that there are moments of decision, doors of opportunity that, once closed, may not open again. For 7 days, they waited inside the ark. Silence. Anticipation. And then it began. The springs of the great deep burst forth, and the floodgates of the heavens were opened. It wasn't just rain. Water erupted from the ground and poured from the sky. The flood was relentless, rising higher and higher for 40 days and 40 nights. The highest mountains were covered. Every living thing on the face of the earth was wiped out. It's a terrifying image, a stark picture of the consequences of a world that had turned its back completely on its creator. Inside the ark, Noah and his family were tossed on the waves, the only remnants of humanity, afloat in a world submerged. Imagine the sounds, the roaring water, the creaking wood. Imagine the emotional turmoil. Yet, they were safe. They were carried above the destruction because they had trusted and obeyed. This is a powerful metaphor for our own lives. When the floods of trial, sorrow, and chaos rage around us, God provides an ark of safety for those who trust in Him. His presence is our refuge, lifting us above the waters that threaten to overwhelm us. For 150 days, the waters covered the earth. The world was silent, save for the lapping of water against the hull of the ark. But God did not forget. Genesis 8:1 says, "But God remembered Noah and all the wild animals and the livestock that were with him in the ark." What a beautiful phrase, God remembered. In our darkest moments, when we feel forgotten and adrift, this is our anchor. God always remembers His people. Slowly, the waters began to recede. The ark, which had been a vessel of survival, finally came to rest on the mountains of Ararat. After months at sea, the first sign of a new beginning appeared. Noah sent out a raven, and then a dove. The first time, the dove returned, finding no place to land. A week later, he sent it out again, and this time, it returned with a freshly plucked olive leaf in its beak. Hope, a symbol of peace and new life. The flood was over. A new world awaited. When they finally stepped out of the ark, the world was fresh, clean, and empty. The first thing Noah did was build an altar. Before rebuilding his home, before planting a field, he gave thanks. His first act in the new world was an act of worship, acknowledging the God who had saved him. This is the heart of gratitude. In our moments of deliverance, our first response should always be to turn our hearts to God in praise. And it was here, in this moment of worship, that God made a promise. He saw Noah's heart and established a covenant, not just with Noah, but with all of creation. Never again will I curse the ground because of humans. And never again will I destroy all living creatures, as I have done. And to seal this promise, God set a sign in the sky. I have set my rainbow in the clouds, and it will be the sign of the covenant between me and the earth. Whenever the rainbow appears in the clouds, I will see it and remember the everlasting covenant. That rainbow is more than just a beautiful scientific phenomenon. It is a divine promise. Every time you see a rainbow, it's a personal reminder from God Himself that His grace is greater than our failings, and His mercy endures forever. It's a symbol of hope, a promise of new beginnings, and a declaration that even after the most devastating storm, God's faithfulness shines through. The story of Noah's Ark is a reflection of a greater story of redemption. Just as God provided an ark to save Noah from the flood, He has provided a way of salvation for all of us. The Bible tells us that Jesus is our ark. He is our refuge from the judgment our sins deserve. By placing our faith in Him, we are brought safely through the storms of life and promised an eternal future in a new creation. The door to this ark of salvation is open to all who will enter through faith. So what does this ancient story mean for you today? It means that no matter how chaotic your world feels, there is hope. It means that walking with God, even if you're walking alone, is always the right path. It means that obedience, even when it doesn't make sense, unlocks divine protection. And it means that God's promises are unbreakable. The same God who shut Noah in safely, who remembered him on the water, and who sealed His promise with a rainbow, is the same God who walks with you today. He sees your struggles. He hears your prayers. He has a plan to carry you through your flood. Trust in Him. Build your life on the rock of His truth. And look for His rainbow in the clouds. It's His personal message to you, a reminder that the storm will pass, and His promise of a new morning is true. Thank you for joining us on this journey at the Bible Nation HQ. If this story has inspired you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content that brings the Bible to life. Until next time, may you find refuge in His promises.